morning, children. Welcome back to English Grammar class for class 5 and worksheet 3. Reading. Read this extract. Mr. Moss at the sweet shop nodded as William passed, encouraged William paused at the doorway and stopped whistling. "Hello, Mr. Moss," William said. "Hello, William." "Anything cheap today?" went on William hopefully. Mr. Moss shook his head. "2 pence an ounce cheapest," he said. William sighed. "That's awfully dear," he said. "What isn't dear? Tell me, what isn't dear?" said Mr. Moss. "Well, give me 2 ounces. I will pay you tomorrow," said William. Mr. Moss shook his head. "Cash, young sir," said Mr. Moss. "I want cash. However, I will give you a few fruit drops tomorrow for a New Year's gift." "Well, give them now then," said William. Mr. Moss hesitated. "They wouldn't be a New Year's gift then, would they?" he said. William thought a little. "I will eat them today, but I will think about them tomorrow," he promised. "That will make them a New Year's gift." Mr. Moss gave out a handful of fruit drops to William. William received them gratefully. Now, Ulu. What do you think is Ulu, children? Ulu is nothing but hello. It's a very short form of hello is hello, Ulu. Okay? And then 2 pence. What do you think is a 2 pence? It's a small unit of money which is used in Britain. Ounce is a small unit of measuring weight. Sighed means let out a deep breath to show that he was disappointed. Now complete these sentences. Looking into the text, looking into the reading extract, what you are doing, you are going to complete the textbook work. When Mr. Moss nodded at him, William paused, encouraged, paused at the doorway and stopped whistling. William asked Mr. Moss, "Anything cheap today?" William was disappointed because Mr. Moss said 2 pence an ounce is the cheapest. Mr. Moss told William that he will give fruit drops as a New Year's gift. William convinced Mr. Moss to give him some sweets immediately by now. "I will eat them today, but I will think about it tomorrow." "That's awfully dear." Another way of saying this would be, "That's very expensive." Circle words in the text that are the antonyms of. Miserably means hopefully. Thanklessly means gratefully. Grammar and words. The simple present tense, the present progressive tense, the simple past tense, the past progressive tense and the present perfect tense. What are we going to use here? The verb plus s or es, action that is generally true. So for that we use s and es to the verb. So here see, he or she practices or they practice. So you use either yes or either es when the action is very true. Present progressive means verb plus ing. Now what are you going to do? He or she is practicing or they are practicing. You will use ing, an action that is taking place at the moment of speaking. When you're generally talking to others, you will use this. He is practicing. She is practicing. They are practicing. Simple past tense, you use ed plus verb plus ed. It is an action which took place before the present moment. So here regular verbs are practice or practiced. Irregular verbs are teach, taught. So here in this is a regular verbs and a present moment. And this is irregular verb, teach, taught, practice, practiced. You will join ed. Here completely the word will change. This is called as irregular verb. The past progressive tense. Was or were plus verb plus ing. Now you will use, before the verb, you will use word was or were, and then you will use the verb, then you will use ing, an action going on at some time in the past. So what the action has gone away back in the past, you will use was and were, and then you will use the verb and then ing. So now was practicing, he was practicing, they were practicing, like that. Present perfect tense, has or have plus verb plus ed or en. Here an action that has been completed sometime before the present moment and affects the present situation. He has practiced or they have practiced. Have or has, you have to use, or was and was for the past. Complete these sentences with the correct form of the words in brackets. I heard a beautiful song on the radio this morning. It's still ringing in my ears. Here word is given for us. You will change it and you will write it as ed. It is present perfect tense. So heard, you will use d. Or she promised that she will not tell the secret to anyone. Not tell is given to us. Before not tell, what are we going to use? Will. She will not tell the secret. The train will leave the station in 5 minutes. Leave is given. You will add will and then you will write the answer. I will not watch television now because I am going to paint. Not watch. So here you will add will. Shreya looked fresh today because she had slept well last night. So here it's an irregular verb, and what has been done in irregular verb? Slept. Sleep, it completely changed to slept. My aunt usually visits us once a year. Visit is here and you will write it. You will add only yes to this and you will write visits. Our team earned 2 points in the previous round. Earn or earned. We were almost giving us hope when Aman hit a sixer. So here you will add were. Because it is we. We means it's a plural word. So when it's plural, you will use they or were here. The present perfect progressive tense has, have been plus verb plus ing tells us about something that started in the past and is still going on at the time of speaking. Kunika has been sleeping all day. So use has or have been plus the ing forms of the verbs in the brackets to complete these sentences. Use has or have been plus the plus ing forms of verbs in the brackets to complete these sentences. Numbers 4 and 5 are questions. It is a holiday today. Renu and her friends have been playing. Play is given. We have to add the rest of the words. Renu and her friends, because it's a plural, have been playing since the park opened this morning. Nasneen has been bake cookies for nearly 2 hours now. Don't you think we should help her? She has been learning dance since she was 7. She wants to become a professional dancer. Before you, now you have to add have. Have you been browsing the internet on the phone? Because it is a question mark here. What you have to do is you have to add have or has before this. Have you been browsing the internet on the phone? Now I know why you have a headache. So we have to begin with have. Father dash the doctor. He complains of toothache at least once a day. Now here we have a question mark. Before father, we have to add has. We have to begin with has. Has father seen the doctor? I have been reading this book since last month and I am unable to finish it. It is quite boring. Rewrite these sentences using the verbs in the present perfect progressive tense. Use for and since where necessary. The children are practicing for the show they began an hour ago. Now we will make the sentence shorter by using for and since. It is called as present perfect progressive tense. The children have been practicing for an hour. So we have used for. Here for is used. The plumber is fixing the broken pipe. He started working on it at 10 o'clock. The plumber has been working on fixing the broken pipe since 10 o'clock. After writing the sentence, you have to have a full stop. Sneha goes to dance classes. She joined the classes in April. Sneha has been going to dance classes since April. Mrs. Kumar teaches English in our school. She started to teach English 20 years ago. Mrs. Kumar has been teaching English at our school for the past 20 years. It is raining. It began to rain last night. It has been raining since last night. Mayur is planning a trip to Delhi. He started planning it last month. Mayur has been planning a trip to Delhi since last month. Write the meanings of the idioms. You can refer to a dictionary if you need to. Beat about the bush means not speaking directly or precisely. Turn a blind eye. To ignore something once in a blue moon is to do it rarely. Leave no stone unturned. Make every possible effort. All ears, very keen to hear. Now use the correct idioms from the boxes to complete these sentences. Remember to make necessary changes. Jaya did not know how to tell her teacher that she did not complete the project. So she talked about all kinds of things. She was beating about the bush. Don't worry. We will leave no stone unturned until we find the missing necklace. Grandmother was telling the children the story of Sindbad's adventures. The children listened to the story very attentively. They were all ears. My aunt and her family live in Poland. They do not visit us too often. We see them once in a blue moon. The maths teacher likes Manoj very much because he is polite and kind. So she turns a blind eye when he does some mischief. You are planning to throw a surprise birthday party for your mother. You and your sister are planning to go shopping. Your father tells you what to do. While listening, complete the sentences to get the instructions. Be careful when you cross the road. Watch out for the signal. Lock your bicycles. First, pick up a nice pair of bangles for your mother. Carry an old one for the size. Buy some juice. We have very little at home. Remember to check the expiry date on the label first. Oh yes, we need some candles. Don't buy any plastic cutlery. We have enough metal ones at home. There is a florist outside the general store. Buy some nice roses. Ensure that the petals are nice and fresh. We often leave notes for people when we have to convey a message and are unable to speak to them immediately. Rakesh's grandmother has gone to take a nap after giving him some pakodas. He now has to leave for his tuitions and does not want to wake her up. He also has to give her a message from his grandfather. So he leaves her a note. Dadi Ma, didn't want to wake you up. I am leaving for my tuitions and should be back in an hour. Thanks for the yummy pakodas. Dadaji had called. He will call you later. Love, Rakesh. You will notice that the message covers all important details but in short, simple sentences. Sometimes all of the information is not necessary. Also, messages are usually informal. So, how to write a message? How to convey a message to the person who is not aware of where you're going and when you're going out, and how the message should be written. Now write a message for these situations. Mrs. Sridhar had to leave for the hospital in a hurry. She leaves a message for her son, Anil, who is in school. She tells him that she has gone to hospital to see Mrs. Krishna. She also tells him that she will be back at 5 p.m. and that there are fruits in the fridge and biscuits in the jar. Now, mother is writing a letter to her son, or a information or a message to the son. Anil had to rush to the hospital to see Mrs. Krishna. I will be back by 5 p.m. There are fruits in the fridge and biscuits in the jar. Please have them. Take care. Love, Mrs. Sridhar. Second one, your father has gone for a walk and has left his mobile phone at home. His friend Mr. Madan calls with an urgent message. Mr. Madan says his mobile phone is not working and he has sent your father an email. Your father has to check his mail immediately. You leave your father a note before rushing off to school. Now the boy himself is writing a letter to his father now. Daddy, Mr. Madan had called. He wanted to speak to you urgently. His mobile phone isn't working. He has sent you an email. Please check it immediately. Getting late to school. Bye. Love, your son.